AI now that I view it just very similar to DOS commands. When
Yeah,
people are like, well, how do you learn it? I'm like, well, didn't you know DOS? You used to have to ask and type in to make it do certain things if you wanted the computer to work. So, I view it as leg up, you youngsters. I had to type that stuff in back in the day. And that's how I,
absolutely.
approached AI with the prompts of this is DOS.
Welcome to another episode of Women Investing in Women. My co host Robin and I are absolutely delighted week after week to bring to you women who are investing in other women, women who are lifting up other women, and women who have not forgotten they themselves got here because other women invested in them. And actually, some male allies facilitated that as well. Women don't get to where they get to without male allyship as well. So, in honor of celebrating that and propagating the deeply impactful way women investing in women shapes our society, we cannot wait for you to meet our guest today. Robin, take it away.
Absolutely. I am really thrilled to introduce Taralyn Vico. And I met her on a technology platform called Uplevel, which was created by and for women, by a woman for women, and in the Up network. And she posted there that she works with women in tech and STEM. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to nab her and have her on our program. She gave us a wonderful bio, and it's so interesting that I normally don't read bios. I just briefly explain, but her bio is so interesting. I'm going to break protocol and I'm going to read it. So Taralyn Vico is an entrepreneur, author, and technology innovator who has spent her career building bridges between health, wellness, and technology. She has created health records using blockchain and worked on EMR builds that achieved meaningful use stage 2 certification. Now, as the founder of Verdure Lifestyle, Taralyn is passionate about women investing in women, especially in tech and STEM, and helping women not just succeed, but truly thrive. And so I am thrilled that she is here. And my first question, we definitely will get into tech and how you got into that and all that. But my first question is, tell us about the organization you created, Verdure Lifestyle. That's such an interesting word, Verdure, and I'm sure there's a story behind it. So tell us a little bit about that and yourself, and then we'll absolutely dive into all the tech stuff.
Absolutely. You're right, Robin. There is a story behind Verdure. And it stemmed from several years ago. I was co-consulting with another woman for a company, and the company had a specific name, but they were more than what that name was. They've grown. And I've never really heard that word before. And it was a download that came to me. And I said, what about Verdure? And as soon as it left me, I knew, like, I don't think I was meant to give that away. And we looked it up because we're like, what? And it meant, like green, lush, and thriving. And I said, that's more what we're going for in a wellness scenario, that we're more than what the company was. So the company, for that particular company, temporarily did do business as Verdure, used part of Verdure, and it just always stayed with me, that name. And I was like, I just see more for this, that people always talk about health and wellness, and I just viewed it as, yeah, we want to be more Verdure, just thriving in all aspects of our life, including from what we eat, drink, how we live, being mindful that there's so much resources, and just kind of be all of us on our way, being a forger as well of just Verdureness. So that's kind of my story of how Verdure came about. And so it took about, I'm going to say, almost 8 years now, to where I finally realized it over a period of time of, you know what, I think it's time that Verdure Lifestyle finally comes to life. And so many components of Verdure Lifestyle when you of it. And thankfully, a lovely, lovely woman who I've known for quite a while in healthcare, Dr. Selena Pizarro, she I talked to her about it, and she just instantly was like, "Oh, I get this." And she has been truly living the Verdure lifestyle. If there was such an ambassador for the Verdure lifestyle, she is it. And she, saw the vision, and we decided let's just focus in on certain components. Because, like I said, the way I envision it is very massive, almost its own ecosystem. And we've just now brought it to life. We officially launched actually this month, August 2025. And we did put out Living Verdure manuscript. It's available on Amazon, and that was published in July 25th, 2025.
That is an absolutely fascinating story for the name and the journey.
Thank you.
So delighted you shared that with us and our audience. Taralyn, what's coming up for me is, as the conversation is about women investing in women in the space of your health and wellness and the Verdure lifestyle, how are you reaching women, and how are women being positively impacted by this? And that's a good place for us to go to build on this conversation.
Okay, perfect. I like it. I really have found in the last couple of years specifically, now I've always been amongst many women, and an association that I've been a part of is predominantly women in health information management. And so, but the last couple of years, just really women centric, just like with Up Level Social, and just a few other people that have small channels that have just really found themselves supporting women. And I'm like, wow, I think this is the direction we're at, that even Verdure Lifestyle, that our book is geared towards women. It's, even though the Verdure Lifestyle is for all genders, but we have really niched into the women's wellness, knowing that we need not louder voices, but yeah, in our own way to support each other, because there is such differences in women wellness care versus males. So that's just really how Verdure just organically and yet magnetically has just been drawn to other women, just helping each other. And I think that it's just almost its natural growth is that, being a woman, we all know that it can be a little bit more challenging professionally to get in, to be seen, to get a seat at the table, to be heard. And we have viewed it as that we're not in competition with no one, but we really do want us to all rise together. And I really have always believed that we can rise together. That two hands were given, one to help out, to help lift somebody up. And I have found that in my journey that I couldn't have been where I'm at without plenty of women helping me along the way as well, too, of having mentors, which I fully believe in, having mentors to help guide, that. So Verdure, it just, like I said, it just was an organic, just of women really just supporting other women, and really, just like I said, not looking to be competitive, but just looking for the best of, like, how can we feature you? Have light and we see it, and just, let everybody be able to have their light shine. Yeah.
That's really beautiful. I'm loving hearing that. And now coming into, and I am sure you bring the tech world into that,
Yeah.
definitely influences that. So
Hmm.
tell us about a little bit about your journey in tech, because that, and tech STEM, because that is
Hmm.
typically not a female dominated field, and your
Yeah.
experience in that. And tell us a little bit about how your journey learning it and then using
Hmm.
it to help women.
Sure will. So I was very fortunate to have a really amazing female figure in my life, and that is my mom's sister, my aunt. And shout out to Aunt LaDonna, otherwise known as Aunt Da to me. So she had a partner, two females that went into business together, and transcription in the late 70s, early 80s. And she was very, very encouraging that, to learn all aspects of the business, from knowing all the terminology to how it just runs. And so tech at that time was mostly, it was typewriters. And so going from just your regular typewriter to the Brother 600 to, advancing into what the computers that became available, that we were always seeking ways for the medical record to be able to be readily available, as quick as possible. That if you're a patient, you never know when an emergency can happen. So that was probably one of my first female really guided into the tech world. And so when I went to go actually work for a period of time before going into college at the Parkinson Foundation in Miami, and I would see all these people, the biggest complaint was trying to find that record, and doctors would have records in their office and records were everywhere. And I was like, this is just not a good system. And so at the time, utilizing the softwares that we had, which was, I think, Word and like Lotus 1, 2, 3, and really this is very outdated. We're talking, this is the 80s. And I was like, I'm going to put together a little something so we can track these records, so that they're available. So when there is an emergency or just needed to be. And I just, has always just been drawn to how can we, incorporate and, tech to call it, bridge it to make things more efficient and with the lookout of, optimal for each one of us, that our health and wellness, and especially in an emergency, we want, for someone to know us right away. So from that, with my aunt, just really guided, going to, you can do this. And there wasn't a lot, as you know, I'm going to say a lot of encouragement from outside sources, but the female was very powerful. And so with the tech, it just really kind of grew into, doing other projects for hospitals, doing master patient index projects, using new technologies to ensure that one, your record's going to be, specifically you. And through time, the tech just grew into where I had the opportunity, I believe it was a 2015-16, to create my own app. And that was very exciting, where it was a health information app. It was great for the professional. It was great for the consumer, that it was a one-stop shop. And it was a gentleman's company that actually, they supported the app. And it was just wonderful one that I remember he said, he goes, you really seem like you know what you're doing. And I was like, well, thank you. I like to believe I do know what I'm doing. And that app then just grew into even further of there was additional, some people that I come to know, and they said to me, how about opening up a STEAM charter school? And I'm like, what? And it just never really crossed to me. So the tech kind of just then grew into, from all right, here we are in transcription, and we brought in a variety of different technologies from fax machines to even setting up into emails to computers to be that bridge to we're going to get your record there quicker. That now I'm being asked, what I would like to be the president to help get a STEAM school created. And that was a fascinating journey in itself. We did attempt it in Florida. Unfortunately, we weren't successful on that round. But guess what? When you're doing applications that include education, you really need to have all your I's dotted correctly. And it was, of all things, a grammar issue that was the reason of it didn't move forward. But that being said, we still supported it of, getting these STEAM schools, getting the STEM and STEAM, that it was just a natural progression with Palm Beach State College. I served on an advisory board there for a while, and they really started, acknowledging the STEAM and STEM and put out some wonderful, every year, big luncheons just to highlight, this is the programs that we've offered that they too, grew in further. And then the technology from before the app, I mean, my apologies of backtracking, that I had the opportunity to, as we mentioned in the bio, to be able to work on an EMR to get it MU2 certified. And the reason for MU2 certified is so that it could actually get it to market so it can become a viable piece of technology. And so I hope that helped answer a bit of some of how I've gone down my tech track. But it really was often just being inspired really for humanity, as far as their wellness, of getting that record of you in that time, in need, albeit an emergent or just, your regular, that They really knew you and they had, all the information for you, your data.
Thank you, Taralyn.
You're
Two
welcome.
things resonated for me. When
What?
you said Lotus 1, 2, 3, I actually learned Lotus 1, 2, 3 because my background is computer science, math, physics. And it was before the age of the World Wide Web, and it was before the age
Mm-hmm.
of Microsoft Office Suite. So we're both
Yep,
dating ourselves.
absolutely.
It was the age of floppy disk and the age just before the floppy disk.
It sure was. But you know what I like about you being seasoned, very seasoned, is that AI now that I view it just very similar to DOS commands. When
Yeah,
people are like, well, how do you learn it? I'm like, well, didn't you know DOS? You used to have to ask and type in to make it do certain things if you wanted the computer to work. So, I view it as leg up, you youngsters. I had to type that stuff in back in the day. And that's how I,
absolutely.
approached AI with the prompts of this is DOS.
Absolutely. So the question that's coming up for me is you talked about STEM and STEAM schools, and we are living in the age of technology and the world of AI, but
Mhm.
we're also living in a world where the human relationships are constantly taking a back seat to the bonding and the growth of relationship between humans and technology.
Mm,
Children's first bonding is with devices.
yeah.
Couples sit next to each other at dinner and still text, not talk. Families sit at the dinner table and everybody's on a machine and nobody's talking to each other. We are
Mhm.
losing the art of human interaction and human communication while everything is driven by technology.
Yeah.
But humans are still the master of technology. And if we don't stay the master, and build human relationships to best leverage technology, we're going to become tools of technology. What advice do you have for women to not just master the art of technology, but lead that technology mastery in their field with their humanity and their emotional intelligence and human intelligence? That's gender intelligence, cultural intelligence, generational intelligence, emotional intelligence. How does that play a role? Because women are stronger in this space than men. How can women be the leaders in this emerging world where the human intelligence needs to lead the artificial intelligence, or
Mhm.
our humanity is going to be at peril?
That's a really wonderful in-depth question of asking. And from my perspective, off the cuff here, is that I view women are really can be very good about knowing when to self-love, self-care. And care and self-love of knowing, all right, I've had enough. All right. That we can naturally tune in to be able to take time for ourselves. And we are going to need to be that one that is the reminder and guidance to unplug, to take time and care, for the people around you. And so as a leaders, women leaders, and I don't want to say that we're naturally nurturing or like that, but I do believe that we have a very strong innate knowing of taking care of oneself and others. And so that we do need to be that one that says, all right, tech is a tool. Tech is here to assist us. It's not to take over us, but to assist us. And then we just need to be able to be that, the foundation, as well as, showing that we don't need to have the phone with us at all time. That, albeit if it's dinner time or talk time, you know, turn it over, turn it off. So I believe that women just know, of having that innateness within them, that if we just hone in on that and knowing how important it is, for the interactions with each other, that community with each other, there's no tech that's going to take the place of that. There's no tech that takes the place human touch. There's no tech that takes the place, of seeing someone face to face, and look in their eyes and see the happiness and joy or sadness. So I just really believe if women could be comfortable with themselves and know that it's not a weakness to hone in on that, that I think can make the difference. You know, that humanist part that often we were told were our weak parts, that, you know, your too emotional part. I believe that if you just look at it from a perspective and just maybe just turn it to a little degree and realize that is actually our gift and it is
That's
our
really
strength
beautiful.
and power.
I really love your comment that tech is a tool that we use to
Mhm.
make our lives better. And with every single guest, we always say, oh my gosh, the time has flown by. And so we'd love to have you, the guests who are listening, how they can get a hold of you. And then one last final, just final that you can share with
Mhm.
women who will be listening to this later.
My goodness, I listened to you, Robin, and I just kind of in that moment, I was like blanked out at the same time, and my apologies. Would you mind repeating yourself?
Sure. So we always say with every single guest, the time just flies by. So first, can you tell the audience how they can get a hold of you if you have a website or a LinkedIn address or an email address? And then after you've told us how we can get a hold of you, just one final simple golden nugget that you can share with the women.
Well, thank you again. It has truly been a pleasure to be a part of this conversation. And you can get a hold of me. I can be found on LinkedIn. I am the only Taralyn Vico, as well as you can find us on our website, verdurelifestyle.com. And you can reach me at Taralyn, Taralyn, at verdurelifestyle.com. And one of the final nuggets that I can give is get yourself a woman mentor. Find someone that, you know, that you're seeking, to, you know, what your goals are, what your dreams are, and connect with them because they are truly going to be able to help you to get to what you're seeking in life.
Thank you, Taralyn.
You're
It's
very
been a
welcome.
pleasure. It's been an absolute delight. And
Thank
I
you.
know our audience are going to love hearing your message and being motivated and energized by hearing your journey.
Oh,
Because
thank
where
you.
we start doesn't have to determine where we end. And technology is something as a tool we can all add to our toolkit. And
Absolutely.
we are living at an age where technology is just as important as speech and language. It is
Yes.
a medium in which we exist and interact. So thank you. Thank you for insights. And to our audience out there, it is never too late to learn and grow. And you'd be surprised at the unusual places where you get inspired and the unusual folks. Sometimes even the older people in your life can teach you certain things that are very modern. So keep your mind open, your heart open, and be willing to watch, observe, learn, and grow. Because in that process is actually the recipe for your own thriving life.